Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I'm walking you through exactly how I got my Japanese spouse visa. I'll cover all the steps I took to make the process as smooth as possible. If you're married to a Japanese citizen and plan to live in Japan, this video is for you. Now let me say this up front, the spouse visa is one of the more straightforward long-term visas to get if you're organized. That said, there's still a lot of paperwork. It can feel like a lot, so I'm going to break it all down to make it easier for you. Okay, so here's everything you'll need, all the documents for your application. You can pick them up at the Japanese embassy, but I've also included a link so you can fill them out online before your first visit. It saves a lot of time that way. Alright, let's start with the application form. If you're already in Japan on a different visa, this will actually be a change of residence status instead of a brand new application. It's pretty straightforward. The form is in both English and Japanese, but I strongly recommend filling it out in Japanese. It speeds things up and avoids translation issues since you're submitting it to a Japanese office. Alright, next up, the visa photo. You'll need a photo just like you did for your passport or any previous visa. You can always go to a photo booth, but those can be a little expensive. So we found this app called Directio Camera. I'll put it on the screen here. It lets you take a properly sized visa photo, which for the application is a 4x3 centimeter, right from your phone, and then you can print it out at any convenience store. Just make sure that you select the glossy photo paper. It's much cheaper this way. Instead of paying around 1,000 yen at a booth, using this app and printing at a convenience store will cost you maybe 200 yen at the most, I think. So it's definitely worth it. And then also make sure to cut out the photo ahead of time and then bring more than one, just in case. But don't glue it to the application form yet. Wait till you get to the immigration office. They'll give you a little glue stick there. That way you avoid messing up anything and wasting a photo. Alright, the next document is the family register, or Koseki Tohon. Your Japanese spouse will need to get this from their city or town hall. Once you're legally married, your name gets added to their family register. This document shows you're officially part of their family and it proves that you're married. If your name isn't on the Koseki Tohon for some reason, you'll need to submit your actual marriage certificate instead. But in our case, I was already on it, so we just printed it out at the town hall and turned it in. Just make sure that it's issued within the last 3 months, because they won't accept any older ones. So right before you go to submit your documents, then go to the town hall and print it out. Alright, now here's where it gets a little tricky. Proof of marriage from your home country. This one was confusing for us. What they want is proof that your marriage is legally recognized by your own country. I'm from the US, and the US doesn't issue marriage certificates for marriages that happen overseas. They basically say, hey, you're married wherever you get married, cool. So there's no federal certificate or anything like that. So to handle this, I had to prove that the US doesn't provide a marriage certificate for marriages done abroad. What I ended up doing was finding official text on the US Embassy and Consulates in Japan website that explains this. I also put the link in the description as well. So just highlight this, print it off, translate it to Japanese, and then turn it in that way. That's exactly what we did, and it worked just fine. Alright, so next is your income and tax documents. You just need to prove that you have enough money to stay in Japan. That includes submitting your tax records. If both you and your spouse work, just submit both of your income and tax documents. Put everything together, the more the better. In my case, I was a student at the time and I didn't work. I was attending a language school and my wife was the only one working. So we submitted her income and tax documents, and that was enough for me to get my visa. She had a good stable job, she's a nurse, so it wasn't really an issue. But if your spouse's income is too low, then you'll need someone else to help support you financially. For example, one of your spouse's parents can say that they'll help support you just to show that you have the financial stability to stay in Japan. Basically, you just need to show that you have enough money to live in Japan comfortably. The government doesn't want you to be here and end up being a burden. Next is the letter of guarantee for a Japanese spouse. Your spouse needs to fill this one out. It's basically just saying that if you cause any problems, your spouse will take responsibility for it. It's a super easy form. There's an English version and a Japanese version to help you out. But remember, you have to submit the Japanese one. Then you'll need a residence certificate or juminho. You'll also get this at the town hall or city hall where you live. If you have a My Number card, you can actually print it off at any convenience store. This just shows that you have an address in Japan. So once you move somewhere, you will register at the town hall, and then you'll be able to get this residence certificate. All right, now the most time-consuming and probably the trickiest part of the process is number 8, the questionnaire. This one is a bit of a beast. It's about 8 pages long, and it asks for a lot of detailed information. You'll need to fill out information about yourself, your spouse, and even your family members like your parents, siblings, and their spouses. It's really thorough. It also asks about how you communicate with each other, what language you use. For example, you might write something like 90% English and 10% Japanese, or whatever normally you use in daily life. That's what you should put. They also asked if you used an interpreter at any point in your relationship or during your communications. If so, you'll have to list that person. In our case, we didn't need one. My wife speaks English really well, and I've been learning Japanese too, so maybe like 1 to 2% of our conversations were in Japanese, mostly just me trying to practice and get better. But the biggest and most important part of this questionnaire is section number 2, developments leading to the marriage. This is where you really tell your love story from the beginning. You include when and where you first met, and then walk them through every major step in your relationship. So, for example, I met my wife around the time COVID was happening. We met online through an app, and because of the pandemic, we couldn't meet in person right away. We spent a lot of time texting, video calling, and getting to know each other virtually before we finally met face to face. And you have to write all of that out. How long you were talking online, when you first met in person, when you first started dating, trips you took together, when you met each other's families, everything. The more detailed you can be, the better. You'll also want to back all of that up with evidence. So, if you used WhatsApp like we did, you can actually export your chat history from the app and print it out. And then same thing with like iMessage, Facebook Messenger, Line, whatever you used, you can take screenshots of the conversations. Those are good. You don't need every single message, but enough to show consistent communication over time. Basically, they're trying to confirm that your relationship is real, that it wasn't just for a visa or anything like that. So you're really building a case that shows, hey, this is genuine. Now, on the form itself, there's only a small space to write all of this. So what we did, and what I recommend, is type it all out on a separate document and just attach it. We ended up having about 3 pages. Just go into detail. We met on this date, we took this trip, we met family here, we got married later on, all that good stuff. For us, we dated about 2 years before getting married, partly because we were in different countries for a while. So we just made sure to show consistent communication and real connection throughout that time. And so keep everything, screenshots, call logs, photos, travel records, all of that, because you're going to need that in the next step and submit that as part of your proof. The questionnaire also asks if the applicant, that's you, understands Japanese. Be honest. If you only know a little bit, say that. Actually, it's better to undersell your ability. Don't say you're fluent if you're not, because they might test you. For me, I had just finished a year of language school. I could understand quite a bit, but I wasn't great at speaking, so I wrote that I could understand basic everyday Japanese and hold a simple conversation. That was honest, and it was enough. And actually, when I went to renew my visa, you have to fill out some similar things, and they call you and you do an interview, and the interviewer actually switched to Japanese in the interview to kind of test me on what I'd put. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so now for the documents that confirm interactions between the couple. This is where all of those call logs and screenshots come into play. Gather all of the evidence you have of your communication during your relationship and then add your photos to it. For the photos, the form says 2 or 3, but in reality, you should submit at least 5. Don't go overboard though, they'll just give them back. We included pictures from when we first met, when our families met, holidays, trips, moments that showed our relationship growing over time. And a really important rule, the photos cannot be edited. No filters, no face touch-ups. They have to be raw, unedited photos straight from your phone or camera. If you don't like how you look that day, too bad. They want the real thing. Okay, so for the last two, I just put those together. It's just your passport and your residence card. Whenever you submit your documents, you have to show your passport and your residence card. If for some reason you're sick or you're at work and someone else is submitting the documents for you, like your spouse, for example, they need to have your residence card and your passport no matter what, even if you're not there. So just make sure they have those, but it's much better if you just take your spouse with you and go submit together, because if there's any questions or anything like that, your spouse is going to be able to communicate way better, of course. Okay, so now all of that's done. You've submitted your paperwork. What's next? You're just going to be waiting for a little postcard type thing to come in the mail. And once it does, it'll tell you, please bring this amount of money when you come. It's 4,000 yen. And you'll take it in and basically pay for a stamp. And you pay for that stamp, they put it on there for you, and you have your visa. You'll take your residence card with you and your passport, of course, and they will give you a new residence card, and they'll punch a hole in your old one and give it back to you so you can keep it if you like the memories. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as time goes, it's gonna be different for everyone. I've heard stories of a month or weeks or something like that. For me, I submitted in Miyazaki, and it's a much smaller area. So it actually only took about 4 days processing time from when I submitted into when they sent the letter. That's really quick. I had a friend who his was about a week. So it all just depends on where you're submitting, how busy the area is, and stuff like that. It was super fast for me, but when I renewed my visa, actually, it took like a month. So it all just depends on the time that you're submitting, where you're submitting, all those things, how in-depth your story is. Yeah, so just be patient, but as long as you follow all these steps and you have all your documents and all your proof, there's nothing to worry about. And yeah, you'll get your visa. It will pretty much always be 1 year, unless you've been in the country for years and years and years, and you've worked for years and years and years. I've heard of people getting longer, but it pretty much always is going to be 1 year. So yeah, if you have any questions about any of these steps or any other tips, things like that, just let me know. Put it in the comment. I will respond to it and I will let you know. And if you want to know anything else about maybe the visa renewal process, or even my story of how I made it here to Japan and living here for a while, if you want to know anything about that, just leave me a comment and I will respond to that and maybe make another video about those topics. So yeah, just let me know. Hopefully this helped you out. And if you're interested in anything about Japan and Japan life, just make sure to subscribe, because I have videos every week about life here. So take care and have a good one.